Elections, Chapter 4, Civics. In this chapter, we shall cover meaning of elections, composition of election commission, in brief, kinds of election, they are direct and indirect, and types of election, general, midterm, and by-elections. Now, what comes into your mind when you think about elections? There might be elections in your society, elections of the president or prime minister, elections of the college or university, elections for the municipal corporations or MLAs. Yes. So, what is meant by election? An election is an organized process in which people vote to choose the person who shall represent them in parliament or the state legislature. Alright. So, as we all know, India is a democratic country. We follow the parliamentary form of government. Now, what is this parliamentary form of government? In this parliamentary form of government, people are given the authority to choose their own representatives. That is, in India, citizens choose their or elect their representatives through the voting system. Though in India, under the universal adult franchise, elections take place, which is an initial step towards choosing the representative or say the head of a particular council, say executive council or say executive council. Now, here in this picture you can see there are other forms even given out as dictatorship, monarchy, aristocracy and democracy. So, we follow democracy in India. So, here people they elect through voting system, and finally after the counting of votes, the party who is known to be the majority party, that is the winning party, then after is chosen and gets into the parliament, among whom again a leader, a party leader is chosen. This parliament that we are talking about, what is it? What does parliament comprise of? So, parliament means the two houses, they are the Council of States and House of People, and president. So, president and the two houses, they together comprise the parliament, or they together are known to be parliament. Now, in the year 1954, there was an amendment under which both these houses were given a different name, that is, which sounds Hindi names like the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha. Rajya Sabha was given for the Council of States, as states is referred to Rajya, and House of the People is known to be Lok Sabha. Before we get into the process of the entire elections, let us first learn who controls over this entire process. So, this process of election is all considered or taken into consideration by the Election Commission of India. This is a commission which can also be termed as management of elections. That is, this commission takes care or manages the entire process of election throughout the nation. So, all the technical preparations, the declaration of election results and other tasks are all taken care by the Election Commission. This commission conducts elections for Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, the President and the Vice President of India. Who is this Election Commission? Is it an individual or a group? Fine. This is what we call the composition of Election Commission. Under the composition, the Election Commission has got 3 commissioners, out of which one happens to be the Election Commissioner and one happens to be the Chief Election Commissioner, and there are other 2 commissioners. They are appointed again by the President of India, but this is done at the behest of the Prime Minister as per Article 74. Behest, that is at the advice of the Prime Minister. The Chief Election Commissioner stands at the top in the hierarchy of the Election Commission, and the Commission consists of other election commissioners too. Now, prior to 1989, that is from time around 1950 to 1989, the Election Commission was just a single member constitutional body. So, initially when I said who is this Election Commission, is it an individual? So, the answer goes correct, but then that was the time till 1989, because in 1989 the commission, the Election Commission, was then transformed to a multi-member body, and 2 more commissioners were appointed, and the Chief Election Commissioner was now designated as the chairman of the commission. Therefore, presently the composition of the Election Commission goes as Chief Election Commissioner and the 2 other commissioners. Now, what do? As I said, they take care of the entire process of elections. Now, here in the picture you can see there is a ballot, these are with different colors, the party names, ballot, and people are coming to cast their vote. Okay. So, under this process, when I say the entire process of election, the process all begins with a particular list that is called voter list. This list is prepared every year. Now, as I said, India follows a particular feature of the constitution, that is universal adult franchise. That means every citizen only after attaining 18 years of age has the right to vote. So, this voters list or voter list is all about your name, your father's name, your gender, your house number, and there is one more, voter ID, that is the serial number. So, this is what, just like similar to what your roll number or say attendance number or something like that. So, here is the list, and you can see a blank space at the bottom. So, every year, why is it needed to go or update this voter list? Because we know every now and then there are some deaths and there are newborns. Okay, so the newborns, they need to be added, not immediately after their birth, but then that takes a span of time. So every year there might be some number of people who might be attaining the age of 18 years, so they need to be added, and in cases of deaths they need to be taken out, they need to be eradicated from the list. Now, election process starts from the constituencies. What are the constituencies? Now, you can see here the map, our country's map, and then here if I just show you. See, every state, there are figures given out in the boxes. That means that they are the number of constituencies of that particular state. So every state has got number of constituencies, and from these constituencies number of nominees are considered. So these nominees are known to have been stood for elections, and common people or the citizens, irrespective of the caste, creed, religion or gender, can elect any of the nominees, can cast their vote for any of these nominees. So the entire process starts from the constituencies, and the Election Commission has to take care that each and every constituency has got the nominees, and the voter list is prepared very, very minutely, looking all the things taking everything into consideration properly. Now that we have learnt about the meaning of the term election and a little composition of the election commission in brief, we need to know about what are these elections, what types or kinds of elections are there. So elections are basically of two process, like one is a process which is called direct elections, the other one is an indirect election. So direct, as I said, following the universal adult franchise, citizens directly on the election date go to the polling booth, cast their vote, and the members, those who win with majority, they directly get into the parliament. That means they are directly elected by we, the common people or the citizens. So these are the direct elections. Indirect elections, now these people who are already elected to the parliament, they again comprise of a good number, and then among themselves there are elections which are said to be indirect elections. So that means they are among them when the election takes place and somebody again is there who is winning and gets into a particular post or position, that means he or she is indirectly elected by the people. Now, direct election is one in which the voters directly choose their representatives to the legislatures. For example, under this election, who are chosen? Members of the Lok Sabha, state legislative assembly members, and members of local bodies. Local bodies, that is Gram Panchayat or municipal corporation. This direct election stimulates the interest of the people in election. It creates an interest of the people in election, and but under the influence of emotions or religious leaders, here there is a chance of rejection of such a particular person or a candidate who actually has the abilities. So this thing says about it's a disadvantage of direct elections, because see, when in your class you have a elections for suppose the prefect of the class, and you want your friend to be the prefect so that through him your interests are fulfilled. So this is what here exactly it wants to say, that the influence of emotions, so your emotions towards your friend influences you not to cast your vote for anyone who is more capable than your friend. So this is what known to be a biggest disadvantage of this election. Now, indirect election is one in which the voters do not directly elect their representatives, but they elect an intermediate body. So as I said, the chosen people, the people, those who win the elections and then enter into the parliament, I mean they become the members of the parliament, then they frame an intermediate body which finally proceeds to elect the representatives. Then among them there is election, and then they proceed further in order to elect representatives. So these elections are held especially for the members of Rajya Sabha, members of State Legislative Council, that is Vidhan Parishad, the President of India and the Vice President of India. Here in this type of election, it says like this election reduces the heat of election campaign. So what is this election campaign? Now prior to election, whichever candidate is standing or has been nominated, that candidate moves out, like visiting people and visiting different localities and villages and areas which come under his constituency, and just plead and make the people aware that I am standing for the particular election. So you kindly come and cast your vote and I'll look into it. So number of promises are done here during this campaign. So indirect elections advantage goes as it reduces the heat of this election campaign. Constituencies are unduly large, okay, and millions of people to participate. Whereas a disadvantage is it leads to horse trading or evil practices such as bribery. Horse trading or evil practices, that means something that can go illegal, that the law does not abide by, and that particular thing can be even bribery. So through bribery, people can get into. So these were the two different kinds of elections. What are the different types of elections? Like what kind of the two kinds are the two different processes in which people are elected. But then what are the three types? That is, for what are the elections required, when and for what are the elections required? So those are basing on the time, either on the time period or on any situation. So they are known to be the types. Do not confuse yourself with kinds of elections and types of elections. Be very particular and careful about this. Now there are three types of elections: general election, by-election and mid-term election, and we shall look into them one by one. General elections. So in general, elections are to be held on the basis of universal adult franchise every 5 years. That means once elections are done in a year, then after the normal term of the party, the winning party goes to as 5 years. No doubt in between, if there is a dissolution, then there are many other points, but then the normal term is considered for 5 years. So general elections means every 5 years there will be general election, and this would be on what basis? That is universal adult franchise basis. That is, everybody above 18 years can just cast their vote. The elections to the Lok Sabha are termed as general elections. The general elections to the 17th Lok Sabha were held during April to May 2019. So this is general election. Just in general, 5 years of term, and members here are elected to the Lok Sabha. That's it. Then comes mid-term. Again, if you go by the word here, mid-term. So mid means something which is in between. So for example, there is suppose in case of Lok Sabha there is a dissolution, like it can dissolve before completion of its term of 5 years. There are situations in which situations it can dissolve. So in case the Lok Sabha or the State Assembly is dissolved before the completion of the term of 5 years, then an election is to be held, which is known to be mid-term election. Okay, a mid-term poll is required to constitute this new house. Clear? This is held when a state legislative assembly or Lok Sabha is dissolved, as I said, and this new house that will be elected will have a full 5-year term. Not that it started, suppose now a particular party has completed say 4 years of its term, and in the final last year of its term it's dissolved, and so the new party that comes up, that party will not that it will remain there for the rest of the 1 year or tenure, rather it will continue for the full 5-year term. So this is the mid-term election. Next we have by-elections. By-elections are those elections which are held to choose a member of the Lok Sabha or state legislature when there is a need to replace a previous member. Now why do a member need a replacement? Why does a member need a replacement here? Question arises, what is the need of replacing somebody who is already there? So it's not that one has to replace, it is if the situation arises, if there is a need, if the need arises for replacing in case of say death or any sort of resignation by the member, or if the member has been disqualified for some reason, then these are the situations where the seat of the member goes vacated and this seat needs to be filled up. So for this, by-elections are to be held. So a member elected through this by-elections holds the membership only for the remaining term of the house. That means, now again the same example, suppose in the 4th year of the term of a party's completion of its tenure, it gets dissolved and a new party has gotten. So the unexpired term, that means that 1 year which has not yet expired, that goes as unexpired term. So the person so elected remains the member for the unexpired term of the house. These are the 3 different types of elections: meaning of election, kind of election, and the 3 different types of elections we have already discussed according to your ICSE revised syllabus. Thank you, children.